they are remembering in their minds all the steps of the various work that they have to do. Now, if they are involved in a highly repetitive work where it's just the same thing over and over and over, then the training that you provide initially should, in theory, be able to allow them to go ahead and just do that work ad nauseum. But you're dealing with people. People are hard. People are funny. You'll run into Chinese whispers where the work that you gave them in the beginning, 6 weeks later, you come back and it's like completely different. What happened? Well, people played Chinese whispers with themselves, and small little changes came into each of the little bits of work, and suddenly the work is not what they were meant to be doing. And this is for somebody who's doing a highly repeating job. Now, many of your team members are not doing highly repeating jobs. They've got to do multiple jobs. They've got to do multiple system execution. And in those, some are frequent, some are daily, but some are weekly or every month and every 3 months. And those ones are definitely at high risk of being executed variably. Where do all your systems live right now? They're in your team's heads, which is not a good place. We've already discussed that that leads to variable execution, but it also leads to slow execution. Why? Well, every time that they go and do something, they have to find the specific links. Often in business now, details make a massive difference. And so searching for the right file or the right link or the right password all takes time. Why? Because it's up in their heads instead of being documented. Finally, you also have a massive risk when your systems are in your team's heads. Do you know what it is? Guess what? They just got COVID. They just got headhunted. They just quit. And as they leave your business, they take with them all of their knowledge about the systems of your business. They are walking out the door with one of your major assets. This is a painful experience. This is a highly unpleasant experience, because not only did they take all the systems with them, now you are struggling to work out what they were doing, where they were up to, and how you are going to train your next staff member. So, think about this. Right now, most likely, most of your systems exist in your team's heads. This is a bad idea because it leads to variable execution of the work. It leads to slow execution of the work. It leads to errors in the work. And there is a high risk that if they leave your team for whatever reason, they will take all of your systems with them. They're not doing it on purpose, not trying to steal from you. They're just leaving your job, and with them out goes all of that knowledge. This can be fixed. I've already hinted at the answer. You know what it is. Yeah, you've got to document the systems. But I want you to not freak out. Don't freak out. Why? Well, you see, what happens typically when people hear that they have to document their systems is that they go into overwhelm. They're like, oh my goodness, there is so much to document. How will I ever do it? And this stops them. What I want you to know is that you, as the business owner, are not a great choice to be documenting the systems. Why? Because a lot of the work you're not doing. Your team is. They're the ones that know the systems. They're the ones that know the action steps. They're the ones that are most appropriate to actually write this stuff down. Secondly, that people get really into documenting the minutiae, the tiniest details. And so that massively increases the amount of work. But this, for many businesses, is not required. And certainly at the beginning, when you're just learning to run systems, you're going to lead to frustration. I'll often just start with the very big steps. The big steps, the 1, the 2, the 3, or the 4 big steps that are involved. Nothing else. And then as I go and use that system and start to work out how it works, where it needs to be improved or the order changed, then I'll add in finer detail. But even at the beginning, it's just adding in some smaller headings, not right click in the top left corner, not videos, but just the big steps so I can get the order right. Make sure this thing works. Putting in the links. If there's a link that gets me there quicker, having that in there, even if there is nothing else. And I'm going to assume that you and your team are able to work through and go, oh yeah, that link's going to allow me to do that. And then each time they use the system, they can improve it. So it does not need to be all done in one day. And in fact, this concept that your systems will be done is not that helpful. Why? Because life keeps changing. Everything keeps changing all the time. And if your documentation does not change, then you will end up with systems that represent a moment in time and they will no longer work. This is no good. So this is the key for you. To work out, first of all, that you have systems running in your life and in your business. Next up, that the likely place for these systems exists in your team's minds. And that is a very risky place for it. They walk out the door, all of that information goes with them. You end up with variable execution, error-prone execution, and you do not have any backup. What's the solution? You want to document, but do not freak out. First of all, it's not going to be you. Second, start big picture, the very biggest steps. And then as you begin to use these systems, filling in the details. All right, that's all I got for you tonight. We've just covered the first of the definition, repeatable. To make it repeatable, it must be documented. And that will give you the opportunity to run systems that work fast, accurately, and your team will appreciate this. Their work becomes easier. Their life becomes easier, as does yours. If you want some help setting up systems in your business, head over to systemio.dev. Thanks for tuning in today. I hope you got a lot of value out of today's session. I look forward to seeing you on tomorrow's episode as we continue this journey into the power of systems to create results. See you then.